You have to press the voice, the person with the voice. There you go. I would like to call February 6th, 2023 meeting of the BZA to order. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Wayne, roll call, please.
Ms. Marlowe? Mr. Horvath? Mr. Tripp?
Here.
Mr. Wolf?
Here.
Mr. Deutsch? Mr. Jameson?
Here.
Do we have an approval of the agenda for the meeting?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those going to be giving testimony in front of this board, please stand and raise your right hand. Testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you. Have a seat. The first item on the agenda is hearing a BZA 2023-01, Atlantic Sign Company for Symmes Elementary School, 11820 Inyard Road. Reviews and conditional use for the installation of a new electric message center on the existing monument sign.
Good evening, Brian Snyder, Hamilton County Planning and Development. We have prepared a staff report that you should have in front of you. As you stated, this is a conditional use request for a school use in a residential district. Specifically, the school is proposing to take down the existing cabinet between the two brick columns that make up the current sign and replace them with a smaller static sign with the school name on it and a larger digital variable message center sign below that. So the current sign has a 15 square foot internally illuminated cabinet that is static. It just says the name of the school. They're proposing a 9.6 square foot internally illuminated cabinet with the school name on it and a 32 square foot variable message sign. So that will be below the static sign would be at the top of the columns, and then below that would be the digital sign. You should all have a copy of the graphics that go along with the request. This is Symmes Elementary School property. Has been through a number of conditional uses before. The most recent one was for the school expansion that was just completed, was approved by this board in 2020. Signage was not part of that request, so that's the reason that they're coming back for this sign at this time. Conditional uses, such as school uses in residential districts, are required to go through a set list of criteria, both general considerations for all conditional uses and then specific criteria for school uses in residential districts. Applied to this case, staff has reviewed the request for compliance with all of those. We don't find any issues with the spirit and intent, the public interest, or the adopted plans for the township. It's consistent with all of those. There is also a no adverse effect criteria under the general considerations. Because there's already an illuminated sign in the exact location and the existing base is not being changed or enlarged, staff finds that as long as the digital portion of the sign is included or is equipped with a photo cell that dims the sign depending on the weather or the time of day, and that the sign complies with the requirements that it not be allowed to display video or moving images, that the any impact of the sign on the adjacent residents across the street wouldn't be any worse than the existing sign that is internally illuminated currently. But we do recommend that the photo cell be included as a condition if this is approved. The specific criteria, most of which don't apply to this case except for the one that's specific to signage. The criteria for signage states that one sign is permitted for school uses in residential districts with a maximum size of 32 square feet. The proposed sign altogether, including the static sign at the top, the digital variable message center, and the two small Sycamore School District oval logos that they would be adding to the brick columns. The sign total is 43 square feet, so it's 11 square feet larger than what the zoning resolution allows. Additionally, the percentage of the sign that would be used for a variable message center is larger than the 25% that the code currently allows. It would be 74% of the total area at the sizes proposed. Staff doesn't have an issue with the percentage being increased because of the size of the site. It's a very large school site. We understand the request for an additional area of the overall freestanding signage, but staff does not support the additional variance for the size. There's a lot of schools and a lot of institutional churches uses in Symmes Township that are all covered by the same criteria at the 32 square feet. Given that this is not in a commercial area, that it is in a residential area, it's one of the only signs on this street, staff does not support a variance for a larger than permitted sign. So with that, staff recommends approval of the request with conditions on page 4 of the staff report. One, that the sign be a maximum of 32 square feet, that the sign comply with all the other requirements that are currently in the code. There's already a section of section 319.2 that relates to not allowing any flashing images, message changes happening instantaneously. So those criteria in 319.2, we would like to say, with the exception of variance 1 below, that they should meet those. This auto-dimming photo cell would be an important condition that we would recommend if you're considering approval of a digital variable message center, and the variance to allow up to 75% of the sign to be variable message where only 25% is permitted. So that's staff's recommendation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
No, so the only thing that you're asking for right now, Brian, is the addition of that photo cell that will reduce the illumination.
And the reduction of the sign from 43 square feet to
Right.
32 overall.
Brian, I want to be clear. Is that photo cell going to allow that to illuminate during the night?
There are no restrictions on time in the zoning resolution. If that's something that the board would have to
So
consider.
my question would be, yes, it would be lit all night
It
on
could
a
be,
photo
correct,
cell.
yes.
Unless we put time restrictions on
Yes,
it.
that's exactly right, yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for Brian?
No, this time, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody going to speak for? Please come up. State your name and address, please.
My name is Brooke Alini, and my address is 2328 Florence Avenue, and I'm with Atlantic Sign Company. We are installing the sign. Just about the photo cell you guys are asking about, every LED sign like this, they all now come equipped with one of those dimmers. So it's not an if you can have it, it's everyone has it. So it'll dim based on the amount of ambient light around it, and like he was saying, there is a way that you can put a time on it. But it's not going to be so bright. I think that the Mike's Car Wash one down the street is actually brighter than this one will be. And then for the flashing, these change, I think by law it has to be every 10 seconds, and nothing can move on the screen or say anything that will draw attention as if it was danger or
Longer
anything.
than that.
Is it 10? I thought it was 10 seconds. It's 10 seconds.
I don't really think it's even that long.
No, I thought we had it.
Is it 319? But there'll be no cartoons or
No.
anything, or animation?
No.
According to the code here.
Yes.
Okay.
As for the
No,
sorry.
go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead.
For the extra 10 square feet that we're asking for, we designed the sign to fit into the existing base. So if we were to make that, the board smaller, it would have empty space around it that we'd have to fill in with aluminum, like painted aluminum or something, to make it not appear as though it's just sitting there. So when we designed it based on that 42 square feet,
Right,
including
you
this.
filled it in below the
Yeah.
sign, but otherwise, the illumination part, you could have an open space at the bottom and at the top between.
There is currently an open space at the bottom at the top. If you see right below Symmes Elementary, there's a green band, and then there's a green band below it.
Okay,
That's just,
so that's what you're showing. The green band is supposed to be open space.
yeah, but we're gonna put the green band there so it's not open space.
So it'll be a wider green band.
But again, when we designed the sign, they designed it based on filling in that existing base to using it the best of its aestheticness and.
Now, I'm looking at this example of what the sign would look like. I presume, not presume, but I would think that that Symmes would want to project students and doing activities. Like you said, there's a group picture here, which is very, very nice, very, very appealing. Where will the messaging come? On the top of their heads going
No,
across?
the picture will change, the picture changes.
Will be blank and then...
Yeah, it can be a black screen and then it can come across and say.
then the messages will
Yeah,
come.
parent-teacher conferences, whatever
And
day,
then on
no
the-
school, whatever day.
Okay, and then on the slideshow, when that's done, they could put another image on,
Yeah.
gym class or
Yeah,
cafeteria.
and that's why
or
the
something.
10-second slides will switch, so it can say, you know, whatever's going on that night, and then they could have a picture of the winning basketball team, and then whatever's going, you know? So it'll change at that allotted amount of time. But no flashing, no movement, no cartoons, nothing like that.
On the two posts, it's very nicely done. I mean, the design looks very, very nice. It's very appealing. The sycamore ovals, they will not be lit at all?
No.
Okay.
No.
Only seen during daylight hours?
Yeah, they're just
and things.
aluminum panels that are just. have
And
the
there's
vinyl
four of them,
graphics.
two on the front and then two on behind.
Actually, I think
it.
there's only 2 on the front.
Just two? There's there's not another two behind there? It's just
No.
those two?
And yeah,
So in only one
Right, there's
direction, they
only
will
two.
see that?
that you can, do you know? I'm asking you like you know, the 2 ovals, there's only 2 on the front of them. I don't
My assumption would
believe,
be they'd be on those sides, but I don't have to.
I can find out about that, but I'm pretty sure
We would
there's only,
desire them to be on those sides.
we can find out. But yeah, they're non-illuminated, they're just little less than 1 square foot plaque that'll just kind of sit on each side.
And the landscaping will be the existing landscaping that we have right now?
Yes,
Currently.
because the base of it is not changing. So all we're doing is taking off that cabinet, putting in the electric messaging center, putting on a new cabinet. We're using the existing electric that's already there. Nothing, there's gonna be no digging, no construction.
Where it says Symmes Elementary,
Uh-huh,
that will be lit,
yes. Just like what's
just like
there
it
now.
is right now?
Yes.
I drove past it tonight and
Yeah.
I saw that it's lit on both sides.
Yeah, and it's like an opaque kind of, you know, there's
It's
not a
opaque.
ton of light coming through.
Yeah, it's not an LED lighting
No,
system because...
Well, it might be LED inside, but not anything bright. The way that it's lit now is what it'll look like when we install the cabinet.
Oh, okay.
Was there any consideration given to using the existing sign and then putting the monitors down below that?
I'm not sure why they didn't use the existing sign. I think it's just for an aesthetic reason. It's just a newer, kind of streamlined image. And we'd have to remove that cabinet to put the LED sign on. So I think it was just one of those aesthetic
I'm trying
decisions.
to eliminate the sycamore little placards that you can't really read.
Yeah, that's just more for aesthetic and.
Okay.
I'm not sure how old the original sign is either. So I don't know if there's any damage to it or if it's out of date with the lighting and that's why they're adding the new one.
So if we expect that 32-inch, the 32 height or square footage, there would be a gap there from the top, and you said it would be filled with a green...
That's what we're doing right now. We'd have to go back and figure out the right way to do it if we have to get a smaller.
You know, that gap's gonna be almost another 6 inches top and bottom. And it's almost gonna, that's where I have a problem. We'll have to discuss that. That's at the discussion.
Couldn't they just take it from the top, not the bottom?
Are there any other questions?
This is the existing signage at the top across between the two pillars. Would that still be functional with the new sign?
I'm not sure about. I'm not sure why they're removing that one. I can find out. I was just under the impression that it was just, they wanted a newer cabinet. Sometimes the cabinets can get, old and rusty, and so it's just time for a new cabinet. And the new one just, I think, is a bit more streamlined and kind of just goes with the new aesthetic that they're going for. I'd have to go look at that one to see if there's.
Because it looks like the logos are still the same.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like maybe the color of the font might have changed. It's a bit more green, like a brighter green and a brighter yellow. I just think it's one of those fresh new, bringing new life into the old sign.
Yeah.
And when it comes to making an LED sign smaller, the gentleman over here, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. What you were saying is take it from the bottom, not the top. The way that the LED signs work is they go by feet. So so we would lose a foot off of the side. It'd be it's not just like a mix of smushing it. They'd remove it because it's like panels of lights. So they have to just remove, yeah. So potentially the green would be on the top, on the bottom, the left, and the right. If it's smaller and they need to get it in further.
Or you can use gold on the side.
Right.
Have their school
Whatever
colors.
the color, yeah, whatever the color it may be, but there'll be something around it, so. But again,
Like a frame, okay.
yeah, we at Atlantic Sign and Symmes Township think that Symmes Elementary thinks it's the right size. And the smaller it gets, the harder it is to read. The letters aren't as big, they're not as crisp and clean. So it kind of also defeats the purpose a little bit, but they want to have the images be clean so it's easy to read when you're driving.
I can speak more to that.
Yeah,
The signs.
I don't know if they swore you in, but yeah. This is Brad.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone
I'll-
else going to speak for?
Yes.
This is Brad.
Were you sworn in?
I don't think I was.
Okay, raise your right hand.
Yes.
Testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay, state your name and address, please.
My name is Brad Lovell. I'm at 5959 Hagwood Drive, Blue Ash, Ohio, 45242. I'm the Director of Business Operations for Sycamore Schools, so I really appreciate you all considering the signage. I just wanted to give you a little context behind it. I'm
No.
sure you're not able to give kind of how this has come to you at the moment. As you know, we are in the process of completing our $127.5 million bond project, and part of that project obviously is refreshing and renovating schools and also building new, and part of that is also upgrading signage across the district and brand standards and things like that. Symmes Elementary being a renovated building, as you can tell, we just finished that project, and we are very blessed to have a family that is donating the money to help us fund this change for the sign. And so when we talk about how it looks, our goal was to keep the monument sign the same. It's very appealing, as you had mentioned. We feel like it fits with the total look of the school and that area. The desire to have the animated board is just updating it, giving us the flexibility to be able to promote to the community things happening at the school. So we can, basically what we want to do is we want to try to capture a better community feel for the happenings and the things that are going on as people drive by, or even as people are parents are coming in and out of the building itself.
Any questions for this gentleman?
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any more for me?
No.
Okay.
Anyone else going to speak for? Anyone going to speak against? Please stand up. You were sworn in?
Yes, I was.
Okay, please state your name and address.
My name's Stephen Wolf. I live at 11740 Symmes Valley Drive, Upland, 45140.
Okay.
My home is located across from the soccer field that sits in between Symmes Elementary and the library. The current sign is very discreet and doesn't provide any distraction, visual distraction. My breakfast nook is at the end of my house, facing the practice fields and Symmes Elementary. My kitchen window looks out to Symmes Elementary. My dining room window looks out to Symmes Elementary, because my house is on the corner and faces Symmes Valley, but the end faces Enyart. And historically, I used to have an Enyart address, the property did. So for me, while all these great business goals are wonderful, and I support the schools, for me, it's going to negatively impact my property value, because now I have a commercial sign across the street from my home in a residential district. And, you know, promoting the school, that's great, but it's not good for me, okay? Because even though it's not going to be animated, it's going to be changing. So it's going to be moving and changing. Oh, when I sit in my breakfast nook in the morning and look out at the sun coming up over the school there, that's what I'm going to see. Some commercial sign blinking and changing. You know, so, you know, and I've lived there 26 years now. The library seems to be doing just fine with their very simple sign, and maybe the school could find another solution to their desire to want to do a lot of self-promotion that doesn't negatively impact the neighbors in an economic sense and negatively impact the visual aspect of the neighborhood, which is very residential in that area. I mean, there are houses all along Enyart there if you've driven by there. And so this really starts to move the commercial space down Enyart. I mean, that's a very commercial looking rendering I saw. And, you know, what's the purpose? It's a commercial purpose, and that's to do promotion. And, you know, I'm pretty sure all the students know when their parent-teacher conferences are. Pretty sure all the kids are showing up at time. The fire department can find them, and everybody. I mean, there's no problem we're trying to solve here. I understand their desire to enhance, you know, the image of the school with some modern technology, but I don't really think it's appropriate for our neighborhood, and would be very disappointing to me as a homeowner to have to look at that every day. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Okay. Yes? Did you want to give testimony for or against?
Against.
Against, please. Were you sworn in?
Yes, I was.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I was.
State your name and address, please.
My name is Tina Martin, and I live at 11809 Enyart Road, Loveland, Ohio, 45140. And I live directly across the sign, okay? I'm right across the street from Symmes. I oppose having the new sign. We never got a letter for the last one, okay? And I used to work at Symmes. And when I was working there, Mrs. Van Kirk asked me if I'd gotten a letter, and I said, no, I didn't. And she said, well, she says the PTO wanted to put in a sign like what we're talking about, but Symmes Township denied it. So I was going to say some bad things, but but I won't say that, because I thought you guys were already you weren't deciding yet. I thought it was already a decision. That the sign itself is only 7 years old, 6 or 7, because I was at school when they put it there. And so I just wanted to say, I think it's going to be a bright light pollution. We have a porch on our house, and just like you sit out there in your breakfast, and we sit out on our porch too. And I don't see the purpose of dimming the light in the evening, if that's the whole purpose of a light anyway over there, because you're advertising. And I also agree that if I think the students know and the parents know what's going on at school. They don't want no outsiders even over there. Okay, that was, you know, it's just, you know, so they know what's going on at school. They know when there's the carnival and everything else. So I don't think our community needs a sign up there You know, and I also feel like cars go down the road quite fast, and I think in 10 seconds, they're not even going to get any information if there's any, I mean, if there's a picture of the kids, by the time they're down by the light, it might be something, you know, that there's a conference. So they're not even going to see it. I think it's going to be obnoxious. There's, I think, other things that the school could put their money towards. There's dead trees that they planted that could be, you know, money could fix up those dead trees. And also a great big trailer, a semi-trailer is out in the yard that could be gone, and it's been there for 2 years. So I think they could be spending their money a little bit more. And if this is any tax money that's going towards this, that is something that was not even in the bill that, you know, that we got, that what they were renovating the school for. That wasn't even
Now,
anything.
not to interrupt, excuse me, but it was brought up that this money is not the school's money. Some parent is donating the money to build this sign.
Okay.
And the school, the way I'm understanding it, the school or Sycamore Township or the school system is just going to oversee what goes in there and maintain it. So it's not coming out of the levy.
Okay. When he said, I know he said that, but then he also said because of the, you know, the renovation of the school and everything. So I just wanted to make sure, you know, if that's true, that it's not going to be that. Let's see, what else was I going to say? I also saw the Mark's Car Wash sign, and I did think it was bright, and I'm surprised that that sign was allowed for those nice billion-dollar homes that are behind it or on the other side. And I also saw an electrician was out there already, and I don't know whether it was out there for that sign, because usually they don't go to that box. It's right by my driveway, and he was in my driveway. So usually I only see him at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, because he monitors the timing of the 20-mile-an-hour school sign, you know, around the bends. And I never see him, you know, only at those times of years. And he was over there. So I don't know whether he was running electricity already going towards that. But, you know, so I'm hoping that that's not the case, that they're already presuming that it's going to be a done deal. I think that's really all I have to say. But I think it's just going to be a light pollution. We have right now the lights that are at the school in the parking lot, it's pleasant and it's not bad. And the flag light is bright, and I think any LED lights are bright, and I don't think that there's going to be any kind of dimness, and I think it's just going to be obnoxious and ruin our property value. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Anyone else can talk against? I don't think you were sworn in.
No.
Testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
State your name and address.
Hi, I'm Chris Shackleton. I live at 11825 Enyart Road, actually right in between Steve and Tina, and I'm also against the sign. Now, I agree. My living room, I can have a clear view of the sign. My home office, I have a clear view of the sign, and through my guest bedroom, I have a clear view of the sign. So an LED sign would be greatly distracting, and again, as Tina said, light pollution. Now, I attended Sycamore schools from 2nd grade to 12th grade, so I'm very much a supporter of the district. I live in the district, but I cannot see how this sign will age well and look good as the current sign. Again, it's LED, it's bright, even though it will dim, in the middle of the night when I get up, it can still illuminate through my windows. So I'm very much against the sign, so thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for these people? I'm sorry.
No, I have none. Thank you.
Well, excuse me, I wanted to say something too against the sign.
Come up and state your name. You weren't sworn in
No, I
either.
was not.
Raise your right hand. Testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Lauren Bouncel. I also live at 11825 Enyart Road. I completely agree with everything that everybody has said. I think it's going to be bright and it's going to be annoying, but I also think it's going to be dangerous. People fly down that road, especially down the corner coming towards the stoplight very, very quickly, to the point where, like, when I pull out of my driveway, I'm worried that people are going to hit me, and I don't see how a big LED sign that can, like, changes pictures and is distracting, I don't think that that's going to help that issue. I mean, just last year we had somebody that ran off the road right in front of our house, right there in front of the library, in between the library and the elementary school, because they were distracted. I don't know what they were doing, but we watched them, like, missed the road because they were, I don't know if they were looking at their phone, it doesn't matter. That road is dangerous, and I think that this will be a really big issue with that. Thank you.
Any questions for this young lady? No?
No.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
For your comments. Okay, anyone else going to give testimony to this court? Okay,
add something? On the for side, not the against side.
yeah,
Sure.
come
I
on,
just want to clear some stuff up, that's
come
all.
on up.
That's all. I just want to, I know that everybody, the biggest thing with these LED signs is that they're very bright and people don't like that part of it. But what I can say is that it does dim, and when it dims, it's just basically ambient light at that point. But I understand your bedrooms, I get that. So I did a little, while we were just talking, I did a little research. The signs the LED signs, they put out the light is 8,000 nits.
Right,
Right? So for every nit, it's 0.009 of a foot candle, and a foot candle is 1 square foot of light. So, the math, I can't do that right now. But basically, your houses are at least 50 feet, I think, from the school-ish, about, because you have to cross the highway, correct? Or you have to cross the,
We have to just cross the street.
but it's a 2-lane street, right?
It's small.
The houses
Well,
are
yeah.
125 feet away from the sign.
Okay, so the houses are 125 feet away from the sign. So hypothetically, if the sign is putting out 1 square foot of light, it's not going to reach 125 square feet to the magnitude that I think we all think it will, because we think that they're brighter than they are. But there is also the option of the timer on the sign, where you can say between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. the sign is off. That's part of the agreement that we have with the sign company. That's something we can do. But again, the flashing and the changing, that Mike's car wash sign, I don't know how many nits that is, but that one's brighter than most of any ones I've seen. We at Atlantic Sign have been installing these all over Cincinnati, Kentucky, Indiana, and we have to go to a variance for all of them because it's a newer technology, and most of the complaints and most of the conditions are the same everywhere I go. But I always just reassure, it's not as bright as we think it's going to be, and it's not. The flashing doesn't happen. 10 seconds is longer than we think it is, and it doesn't necessarily have to be 10 seconds. It doesn't have to. It's not going to always be that. It just depends on how many slides and how many things they want to put across it every time. So there are ways to do it, but again, 121 or 125 feet away from the sign is not going to be as intrusive as our brains think that it will be, because we just think bright light.
so these monitors are LED, right?
Yeah,
They're not going to be really any brighter than a TV.
correct. Yeah, I was trying to look up an example, and I was trying to find an LED example, but I couldn't find one. But I found a website that was showing parking lot signs. Those are 5, like if you're in a parking lot at Kroger, those streetlights put out 5 foot candles, so 5 square feet of light. So, as an example, that's not very bright. And again, it'll dim, and it's not just going to be. I hate to pick on Mike's car wash, but they have that giant blue bright background. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be a bit more of a controlled, not duller, but not as vibrant, in-your-face kind of color.
Okay.
May I add to that?
Yeah, I would like to rebut that.
No, you can't rebut. You could come up and make a statement, but you can't
Okay.
go back and forth.
Okay.
I'll come up and make a statement.
Please.
Come on up. We're only going to do this one more time.
Okay, but I just want to say, right now the sign is only right now, the sign is not very big, okay? And it's not that bright, and it's not, but you're talking about a TV screen. You're talking about something bigger than your TV screens.
Right.
And you're talking about, that's gonna put out light. I'm sorry, it's gonna be
We understand
very.
that. We
it's
do
gonna be very
understand
hard.
that. We do understand that.
So, it's, okay, I
We
just
do
wanted to
understand
make a
that.
point.
So if that's what you're going
Thank
to
you.
talk about, we are very aware of what these signs can put out.
Yes, sir.
I wonder who in this room would want that sign in their front yard or backyard? That's a question. And I won't control, nobody in this room will control how that sign's programmed. That's going to be completely up to whoever's at the keyboard of that sign. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to have a conversation with the school about how they're programming the sign. Nobody in this room is going to have a conversation with the school about how they're programming the sign. And so it's going to be totally out of everybody's control how it's programmed, no matter what the intentions at the time of inception. Thank you.
Sir, I just would like to say that you have two resources in something like that. If you think that the sign is out of code, you got Brian down at the zoning office and you got the Symmes Township.
I've called
To
the
make
zoning
this.
office and nobody answers the phone and nobody returns my calls.
I'm not going to go into
I
that
can't answer
conversation
that.
at all.
I'm not gonna answer that.
That's been
Okay.
my experience.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to close the testimony, and before we go into deliberation, I need to make a statement that this board is made up of 5 people, and a quorum is 3 people. So, for this to be passed, all 3 of us have to vote yes. If the school or the sign company who's presenting feels that they want to wait until next month, until we have 4 or a full board, that's their prerogative, and they could come up and make that declaration. And usually we don't have an extra fee added on to that because of the size of the board. Is a quorum right now is 3. So I want to leave that up to the signage company and the school system before we go into deliberation.
Jack, when we go into deliberation, that expires, right? That option that they can do. Once we go
With
into,
deliberation,
yeah, talking about what we see
Right.
and how we're going, they can't come out and say,
right,
this
they
has to be
they
done
decide not
before."
to. Is that correct, Brian?
But you still, you as the board, you always have the option to continue the hearing in progress.
Right,
Regardless of-
we could
yes.
continue, but they also, right now, at this point, have the option to say they want to wait until next month to have a better chance of getting a 3-vote yes.
We're fine moving forward.
We're good.
You're fine moving forward, okay. At this time then, I would close the testimony and go into deliberation. Okay, start at the end.
You always start down.
Well, gotta come this way.
I think it's a beautiful sign. I really think it's a beautiful sign, but according to my staff reports, they can have that sign. I mean, section 386, 386, I mean, they're all in compliance with that. What I have an issue with, is that the sign is 15 square feet beyond what is allowed in our code.
Correct.
I have an issue with that. I mean, it's 15 feet more than what it has in the zoning code. I have an issue with that. The lighting. I think that's something that I have an issue with that too. That it's going to be on all night. I don't think it's necessary to have it on all night.
No, we could put these restrictions out.
Well, let's go back a year ago with Evans sign, okay? What did we do? We put a restriction on the amount, and that's a business, and that was in a business area.
Right.
This church, school, library, it's in a conditional use, and then it's in residential, and from what I see from the staff report, everything is in compliance, except I have the problem, as I said, I'm repeating myself. It's larger, than what I would like to see it to be. And the lighting system. If we can put some type of restriction on the time that it's on and the time that it goes off.
Okay. Because they do have a dimmer that's going to dim the lighting, so it goes, like the lighting in my car, at least when I have my radio on, daytime, it gets bright, a little brighter so I can see it, and nighttime it gets dull.
But when I turn my car off on the dimmer, it dims, light, and then it shuts off.
So, you know.
And I have that-
But those are the kinds of things we could do. We could put time limits out there. We could do a lot of things, but the machine does come with a photo cell on it that will automatically change the lighting to the ambient light that's out there. Okay.
Well, the 319.2 talks about the maximum sign area being permitted for use as a variable message sign, and it's limited to 25%. But in the recommendation, there's a variance to include up to 75%, which I'm guessing just increases the visibility of the message portion of the sign, but
And the images of it.
and the images.
Images of the
Right.
students.
And then, like, listening to the district's testimony, it sounds like there's a parent group or a PTA that has agreed to fund the sign?
No, some parent
An
that was
individual.
brought up, he was gonna fund to put a new sign in with a message reading.
I guess the piece of information that seems to be missing is kind of what's the functional purpose behind that change? Like, how will that really improve any operations for the school on a day-to-day basis compared to the current outlay of the sign? And then also just the time associated with the usage of the sign, especially at night, where that illumination can kind of glare to a certain extent to homes. So I think continuing it and getting more information about just the functional purpose of why in the first place there's a need seen by the school system to increase that signage area as well as the illumination. Like, what functional purpose is it going to serve, or what problem is being solved by doing that?
Yeah.
Aside from aesthetics.
I have I have the timing issue that we could resolve very quickly. Brian brought up the need for a photocell. Well, that's going to be there. I have some other concerns about the overall aesthetics. Being an architect, I see this. And putting the sycamore, which was never counted in the square footage, with those placards going on the sign itself. And I think those were just afterthoughts. And from an aesthetic standpoint, I think it's terrible. From that standpoint. And I don't think this sign, the existing sign, is a bad sign. I think maybe it's deteriorating. You know, they want to go to LEDs because LEDs take no maintenance whatsoever. Because if everyone's familiar, LED is these little 1/16 of an inch square lights, and if one goes out, the all other ones stay on. And I'm with you that I think they need to do a little bit more research of why they're doing certain things. Not that they're doing it, and I also agree with the overall signage that we could reduce the sign, but I'm afraid with that existing sign, with the new sign that they're proposing, I was looking at it, that all of a sudden those green bands top and bottom will be almost half the size of the Symmes Elementary sign that they're proposing, which definitely won't be a good look whatsoever.
Right.
You know.
But it will be in code.
What?
It will be in code.
Yeah.
will
Yeah, but it's a big band there. I'd rather see opening there and seeing through it than not anything at all. But I think I think extra studies need to be done on this to get it into a more functional design sign. And I think everybody's hearing this conversation that the size of the sign needs to be reduced overall. So it's my thought that we continue this to next month and that have the school come back with a redesign versus a yes or no answer, thumbs up, thumbs down type of answer.
Yeah.
Because per code, they're allowed the sign. It's making the modifications to that. They need to be adjusted.
Correct.
And
Do you think that those two logos, those oval egg-shaped logos, that should be on the Symmes Elementary?
well, I'm not going to tell them. I just think
Well, I
those.
mean, in your opinion, I mean,
My opinion, you can't even see them.
they're not lit up.
Well, besides
That's the
that,
thing.
you just can't see them. And I know what they're trying to do is put the Sycamore Schools logo in there, and they're just doing it as placards, and that doesn't make any sense to me the way it's set up. And it was never counted in the square footage of the overall sign.
Right.
Even those may be 2 square feet each. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that's 4 square feet more of signage. So,
Just for the record, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
those two signs are less than a square foot each, and they are included in the 43
so
square
they are
feet.
included, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I thought they were not included in the 42 square feet.
No, the 9.6 plus the 32 is 41 and a half. And
Oh,
so it's a-
yeah, I see that
a
there.
square foot and a half of
thought they-
extra Legos.
I was counting the overall sign. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I misspoke. But I still think it's poor design. And I don't think I would vote for the size of the sign, force them to reduce it. So, anyone want to make a motion? You want me to make a motion? No, let me close deliberation first.
Make a motion to continue this next
Yeah.
month? Let's see what is countered and what's presented to us.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Motion to continue it. I'm in favor of
Right.
continuing it. Because right now, I'm not, I told you the 2 issues that I'm concerned about.
I'd second that.
Okay. So the motion would be, first, is that we move to continue this discussion until next month.
It's 22, right? March 6th.
What was that?
March
March
6th.
March 5th, okay.
6th.
6th to, for the school board to come up with new designs to fit the sign parameters that are needed to be met to make it a legal sign.
Can we, not negotiate, not the right word, but can I ask some questions since after you're done deliberating, or is it over?
It's technically over. If you want to ask questions,
Just for the future, so that when we come back in March, I just have some questions I'd like to.
well, let's get this motion
Yes,
first.
okay. I wasn't sure. So.
Roll call?
Brian?
Has anybody actually made a motion? I thought you were talking about making a motion, and you said.
I'll
he did.
make
Ralph
a
just made-
motion
Oh, okay.
to
All right.
continue,
Continue discussion.
to continue this discussion on the sign that's proposed for Symmes Elementary.
I second.
Very, very simple.
Second, okay. Luann?
Do we have to take a
Roll
roll?
call?
Mr. Trick?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Jameson?
Aye.
Okay, so it's extended till next month, so everyone can get their thoughts together a little bit better.
No decision at this
There's
time.
actually no decision on this.
And
right
there's
this
no
second.
fee to come back here again.
Right.
Okay, there's no fee. I mean, we're just,
Can I just ask, I just have a.
Yeah, and we'll let you, all three of you have a question probably, so we'll address those.
So, my question is, if we, I know we can't negotiate, but I'm gonna kind of negotiate.
you can try, but
There's
So-
no negotiation.
we don't negotiate.
Right, if we were to lose those 4 logos that you guys don't like, that would put us only over 11 square feet. If we could keep that 11 square feet, get rid of the
It's
logos.
calculated per side. So
The LED's only one side.
the sign is calculated per side. 43 square feet is the one side.
Right, I'm saying, but we were talking about the 4 logos on
There's
the,
only 2 logos per side.
okay, so we'll get rid of the logos. Do something, add it to the cabinet, something, put it somewhere else. But that would only still put us over 11 square feet.
But that's not even the way we've been talking is the sign dimensions
Right.
need to meet a square footage, period.
Even if we agreed to do the timer that isn't in the code?
No, because we could add that.
No, I'm just saying, if we, because we can,
You said that timer,
because that's
it's
not part of the code. We're allowed to have
But-
a light on 24 hours, right?
but we could change that too. It's not going to be the number of hours that you're talking about. So,
Okay.
Can I summarize what I heard the board say?
what was
That
it?
might help. Can I summarize what I heard the
Yes.
board say? It sounds like they want it to be 32 square feet.
Right.
Per side, maximum.
There's only, and just so that we know, it's only one-sided. There's no way, the LED's only facing one direction. It doesn't face both ways.
the side that's
new
facing
to us.
Montgomery
It'll
Road.
face the road.
Yeah, I did
Yeah,
not know
the
that.
sign that's facing Montgomery Road will be the visual sign, or the sign coming the other
Well,
way?
it faces towards the road, doesn't it?
The one that faces,
Is it west or east?
Yeah, it faces east-west, or north-south. I mean, it
it'll be
faces
facing
towards the road.
southwest. It's this.
So on the side of the library.
You'll be facing the
It'll
library.
be facing the
Yeah, so
library.
this is the view.
from Montgomery.
Yeah,
It'll be facing the library.
so it's only on one side.
Okay.
Just to clarify, it's only
So,
LED on one side.
It's not affecting her, it's affecting these two people.
Sure, yeah, I'm not sure what sides they're on.
Yeah.
But just to clarify, it's only
Okay,
on one
well, that's
side.
a good clarification.
Yeah.
For next month then, too.
Yeah,
So
you're
it's
gonna have to
only-
clarify
It's only
that.
gonna be that, we need to know the square footage on one side, I guess is 9.6 square feet. And the square footage on the other side is the 41.
The other side will just be,
Would be the back blank.
Well,
back
we'll
the
box.
back would be blank. There won't be any electrical, you won't see anything. It's all encased in a
But
giant
also no
thing.
logo.
In school colors.
No,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
And there's nothing on the back of it because that counts as signage.
No,
So,
right.
yeah, there's nothing on the back because that counts as signage. As far as I know, everything's just facing that front street. I don't think anything other than the ovals are double-sided, but I can
The
clarify.
Sycamore the Sycamore sign isn't lit on both sides?
The current one, I think, is. I'm
It
not
is.
sure if the
I
new
think
one
it
will
is.
be or not, but I can clarify that when we get.
So yeah, that's good.
Well, you're gonna have to
give us-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about, how about a north elevation and a south
That's
elevation?
elevation, you're gonna have to give us
Okay.
all the elevations.
That's fine.
And something to do with the timing, a proposal on when you want to turn it off every day, and something more information about the lighting. How about that? Does that sound?
Preferably at night.
Yeah.
Right, and I
Well,
think,
you started to do the research, like if you just finished. the
yeah,
research,
right,
yeah,
I can't do
yeah,
the
yeah.
math because
That's no
nits
problem.
and things are small.
You
But
were-
yeah,
You were going along the right.
Yeah, so,
That would
okay.
be helpful, I think.
Okay, so you're clear. Next. Come on up.
My question is that, will the neighborhood get another letter about this
gotta send out
meeting?
the
Because
notices.
That's,
They
I
didn't
can't,
get-
hold
they
on.
didn't get a meeting.
You can't,
The notices that went out for tonight's meeting were to notify you of tonight's meeting. Now, you're here in person, you know when the next meeting is gonna be. It's gonna be
Right.
the same time and the same location on March 6th, first Monday.
So
of March.
none of the neighbors will know this then? Can we?
Only the neighbors
It'll
that
be on the
got
website.
notified. If they got a notice for tonight's meeting and they didn't show up, then it's an assumption that they don't need to know when the next meeting is, because they didn't show up for tonight's meeting. But obviously, there are some neighbors in attendance here. If you talk to your neighbors and tell them it was continued, then they'll find out that way. way.
Okay. And they
but-
can get
It'll be on the
disputed?
website.
It'll be on the website as well.
And we can dispute it then? I mean, right?
It'll
If we
be,
could bring more people?
I mean, it's a continuation of the public hearing, sure.
Okay. Next thing, stand up. Let's get your question answered.
So I gave my input tonight.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm happy to come next month to hear, but I don't think I'm not gonna say anything different next month. than I
Well,
would
but it's
say.
your prerogative.
So, yeah, but
There
I
will be
would like
another
to,
hearing on this signage.
I would like to offer a suggestion.
That you,
Pardon?
what kind,
To the school.
well, that's between you and the school.
Okay.
Or you can say it to the board.
I will.
Okay.
Okay.
To the board, the school could mount the sign on their school building and provide the information to the students and families that way.
Well, thank you.
thank you.
Okay. So,
Can I just say one more thing, Jack? One more thing. I really encourage the residents of this of our township to register to get that newsletter every month. Beginning of the month, there's a newsletter. These meetings are posted, the trustees, the board and zoning commission, the appeals, and it's very easy to do. They just need your email, and you'll get it every month, and you'll stay in tune with what's happening.
okay. Now,
out
one other thing, the school, you're all set, you understand what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay, very good, okay. So, we're done with this BZA 2023-01 for this month. Okay. Old business,
I don't have anything. Do you have anything?
new business.
I think we have, you said you might
Well,
have a
we'll
case.
have,
We have this
Well, we
case.
have two cases.
We have another case as well, yes.
okay, so we'll have 2 cases next month.
Yep.
Should Kevin come back?
Administrative matters
We talked to Kim.
to approve
Okay.
the January.
Yeah.
Take it outside because we're not finished with our meeting yet.
Oh, sorry.
Administrative matters, approval of minutes for the January 9th, 2023
And then
meeting.
quorum.
We don't have a, as I was against you, we don't have a quorum, so we have to postpone this until next meeting. Okay. Next item on the agenda is adjournment. Can't speak tonight. I move we adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
We're done.
Fork in it.
Yeah.